How's it going, you guys? Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We have some Stephen A. Smith news to talk about. He's really into discussing sex, apparently. We're also talking about the NBA and how they may delay some of their broadcasts. But, of course, you guys make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends before we give you all the latest news that you need to know. Now, here is the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
With no enthusiasm at all. But I'm Jackie Ray. You can find me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
It's a girl, Britt. You guys can find me also at I am Britt Johnson.
Chris, I'm liking the headband. Looks good.
Again, disguise, but thank you.
B-Dot. That's what you look like. You look like B-Dot right now.
B-Dot? I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll add it to the list. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh man, look at Kyrie." No, stop. I'll take B-Dot though.
You ain't no Kyrie. I want to feel that.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't
know how to feel about that.
I don't want it.
All right, you guys. Well, coming up in Need to Know News, like I mentioned before, Stephen A. Smith went on a very enthusiastic rant about sex. We're also going to be talking about the NBA and what they're planning on doing with their live broadcast. And then there's an AFC head coach who has some thoughts about Cam Newton. Chris, what's coming up for you in the post-up?
Post up, we have a lot of 10, 12 little kids upset that Zion Williamson is the cover athlete of NBA 2K21, and I'm going to talk about that. We also have a hilarious video from Shannon Sharpe talking about what we talked about yesterday with Zeke and his little slip up on his live, as well as we will be talking about some. I don't want to give it away. Let's just say Tom Brady's back on the post up, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. And then there's more coming up on post up.
Okay, so Chris,
no soft Chris. No, not today.
Okay, Jackie, what's coming up and what we not gonna do?
We're not going to feel bad when people try to get their money. And I told you guys people were going to go crazy in quarantine. And now I have the proof, thanks to Matt Ryan. People have lost their minds. And I'm going to tell you about it.
Okay. And then, Britt, are we at risk of censorship today? Or is there any hints you want to drop?
Yep. Don't even ask me nothing because I'm clear right now. And I'm got some shit there, so don't.
Just move on.
All right, so you'll have to find out at the end of the show what's coming up for Britt's takes. But for now, let's just jump right on into Need to Know News. So Stephen A. Smith has some very strong thoughts about NBA athletes needing to have sex. He got very, very enthusiastic when talking about how the bubble will fail because basketball players need to be able to have sex. So obviously there's NBA players of the 22 teams are getting ready to go to the Orlando bubble, where they'll remain quarantined and isolated to finish out the rest of the season. They're going to keep the players, personnel, and staff on lockdown, and that includes side chicks. That's something that we've talked about on this live show quite a few times, and that's precisely why Stephen A. thinks that the bubble is going to fail. He said that he thinks it's not going to work out because these players are used to engaging in recreational activities, which was obviously a euphemism for sex. He said, quote, "Do we really think the recreational activities, what these guys are accustomed to, are going to be compromised for 3 months? You really think that people are going to be without their wives or their women? You really think they're honoring a bubble for 3 months?" So my thoughts, if they're being really heavily and closely watched like they say they will, and they're wearing those social distancing anklets, they may have no choice but to follow the rules. But then again, where there's a will, there's a way. And that's something that Stephen A. has been thinking about apparently quite a bit. So I have a clip that I want to show you guys from his whole statement. So Leo, just throw that up there for us, that first one.
Happy. The reason why they're looking at Orlando, they're like, damn, you got to go through gates, you got to go through a lot of hoops just to do anything. That's a problem for them. Somebody got to say it. These brothers, three. You said 3 months. I'm saying 3 weeks is a.
So basically, you can say aren't even going to last 3 weeks without, getting it in. He also talked about how they will definitely be violating the bubble just to make sure they get what they need. We have another clip coming up for you. So Leah, whenever that's ready, if you can throw that up there for us, talk about Stephen A. Smith talking about how they're just going to be breaking the rules of the bubble. So whenever that clip's ready, throw it on up there.
Oh, I'm telling you, they're going to violate the bubble. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now.
No more distancing, Max.
Hey, listen. They going to practice social distancing with the general public. But I'm sorry, when it comes to either your wife or if you're not married, your girl, look, it's a struggle.
I don't know. I just feel like this is so funny. He obviously has some very strong feelings about this. And, we've been saying this whole time how athletes will figure out a way to get their side chicks in. So Stephen A. is not wrong. I just don't think it's going to be easy for the players to break the bubble rules. So, Chris, going to you first. Do you agree with Stephen A.? Is this going to be the reason why the bubble fails?
I think we've all been saying that. I think it's just Stephen A. just saying it in his Stephen A. Smith way. Because it's gonna come down to somebody bribing somebody to let this girl in or let these amount of girls come. Like, there's gonna be something that's gonna come down. It's gonna be over something stupid like that. So I see where he's coming from. It's just he's just being very Stephen A. Smith about it. We talked about Homeland Security and all that. That's protecting this little bubble, making sure absolutely nothing goes wrong with them. I don't think it's gonna. I don't know if they're gonna break it as easily as he thinks. But if it does break, I'm not gonna disagree with Stephen A. Smith. I think that would be the reson why it breaks, is because people are inside when they should not be inside, because dudes can't not be dudes.
Well, Britt, I want to go to you for this next question. We heard about that anonymous tip line that's going to be available to players to rat out anybody who's not following the protocol. Do you think that that's going to work to discourage people from bringing women in, or do you feel that nobody's going to actually take advantage of that tip line?
I don't think that's going to work. I don't think most NBA players are snitches, with the exception of D'Angelo Russell. Most of the guys don't really most guys know that their teammates have wives and stuff. Every time they're on the road, there's a bunch, they see side chicks going into the room, and they haven't said anything thus far. So I don't think that that's going to change. I do not think they're going to have side chicks come in there. If anything, I know there are some reporters and other personnel, people that are going to be in the bubble, that emails, and I think that's just going to be who some of the guys hook up with. Some of them already probably have relationships with some of these women. Whatever the case is, I think it's a situation like maybe some of them are going to have booze like that. Obviously, it's not 3 months. It's only going to be 6 weeks until the families are going to be allowed to be in their families or whatever side chick they pick or girlfriend that they pick to be. They have 3 people that can join them in the bubble after 6 weeks. So if they can't wait 6 weeks, it's going to be somebody that I think is in the facility. I know ESPN actually did a report yesterday, and they said that it is legit like Fort Knox. They already have some reporters and people and producers and stuff out there already. And they're right now staying on the outside in a hotel, but even to get to the facility where you get that, they have to take this bus, and the bus is really the only way to get in and out of the area at all. Like the rest of it literally is legit Fort Knox. And I can't imagine seeing somebody go over and be so extra to do that, just for, I don't know. I'm not a dude. Chris, maybe you could speak better to that, but that's just a little extra to me. That's a little excessive. There's only fans. There's stuff that they can, get their little thing going off if they need to. I just don't think it's going to be that bad of a deal. Don't get it.
So what I was thinking is that suddenly, what I feel like is going to happen is Disneyland or Disney World is going to start getting an influx of job applications from IG models and side chicks who are trying to get a job there so that they can be there.
This is how I went to work. Somebody's already playing Princess Jasmine now.
All right, you guys, I'm going to move on into our next NBA news story. So they may actually delay broadcasts in order to censor players' language. Since there will be no fans, they'll be able to pick up audio that's not regularly heard during games. Adam Silver discussed the idea during a Time 100 talk. He said, quote, I think there's going to be some limits on the language. I think often players understand when they're on the floor, they're saying certain things to each other because it's so loud in the arena. They know a lot of it is not being picked up. They may have to adapt their language a little bit, knowing what they say will likely be picked up by microphones. And in all seriousness, we may need to put a little bit of delay. The NBA's national broadcast regularly features a 6-second delay to allow them to censor language that might be caught on microphones. So I don't know if they're thinking it's going to be a longer delay than that. Players reacted online. They said Donovan Mitchell tweeted, "Nah, let me hear it." Jordan Clarkson said, "Give the people what they want." Sharif O'Neal said, "LMAO, this was a question I had with no crowd. You'll hear everything Hoopers say." So this is obviously something that they're going to have to be thinking about. And it's also something we've discussed on our channel here too. So Jackie, do you think delaying the broadcasts more than their typical 6-second delay in order to account for that foul language, do you think it'll negatively impact the viewer's experience?
No, I don't think it'll negatively impact the viewer's experience because they won't notice. You know, they'll see it in what looks like real time for them, so they won't notice at all. I think it's silly because even with the delay that we have now, we always hear athletes say something, and if you don't hear them say it, they are usually so animated with the way they say it that you know exactly what they're saying anyway. Right. So I don't know. I mean, this is a lot to do about nothing for me because, you know, like I said, if they're animated, we always know what Russell Westbrook is saying, whether we hear him or not. So, yeah, this is just making sure whoever is the delay guy has a job during the bubble time. This is silly to me.
Okay. So, Britt, with that in mind, do you feel like they should just air it? Do you think they're giving too much attention and worrying too much about, you know, catching a bad word on a microphone?
I don't think they should necessarily just air it as is. Well, obviously with the 6-second delay, that's just standard in live TV, but doing anything more than that is kind of crazy. But I mean, they don't want to get fined either. So you get fined if you say certain words or certain words come out, depending on what station you're on. Obviously, if it's on ESPN and they can do kind of the same thing that they did with The Last Dance, where it's televised with yes. And then having maybe on another televised ESPN2, like with The Last Dance, or if it's on ABC or whatever the case is, maybe those be a little bit more censored. But I get why they want the delay because they don't want to get fined. But I feel like we should have that option like we did with The Last Dance.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be kind of entertaining to hear everything that the players are saying to each other. It'd be an interesting way to watch the game. So I think that's a great idea. Okay, the final story that we're getting into today, one AFC head coach doesn't expect the Patriots to start Cam Newton for their season opening game against the Dolphins on September 13th. He said, quote, I think they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks, use Cam Newton perhaps as the wild card. I actually don't see him starting week 1 in the offense. It's an interesting, it's been an interesting turn of events for Cam. He was one of the most dynamic playmakers in the league. He led the Panthers to Super Bowl 50, but then with recent injuries and that late signing and, the delayed on-field work because of coronavirus, it's made things difficult for him and might prove to be, a challenge for him in sliding right into a starting lineup. So, Britt, do you agree with what this AFC head coach is saying? Do you see him starting or do you think he'll be delayed?
He will start if he is healthy. There is no way in hell that he's not starting if he's healthy. There is no other quarterback like Cam Newton, period. Like, you can compare other quarterbacks to other quarterbacks. Cam Newton is literally a beast. He knows how to read the field very well. He knows how to pass. He knows how to run. He can do all of this stuff. And if he is healthy, he is starting week 1, period, point blank. Like, I don't understand why we would think Jarrett, who is not a bad quarterback. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but he's not Cam Newton. And even just the fact that Cam Newton, I don't know if you guys have ever met him. I used to know him back when he was in college. And even then he was huge. He was like a beast. And I've heard several football players say when they were playing football, the hardest person to come up with a game plan against was the Panthers Newton, because he can do so many different things on the field, and he is huge. He is a scary beast, and if he is healthy, he is starting. It doesn't like he can learn a playbook, and actually Norv Turner had a similar style to what Bill Belichick does with the Patriots in New England. So like it's not that much different from what he was already doing anyway. So I don't think he has a problem like learning how to like work with those guys or whatever the case is. I think he'll be perfectly fine week 1. So if he's healthy, he is going to be the starter. I 100% agree. I think that AFC coach wishes he wasn't the starter week 1, but he's going to be the starter.
That's what who is this coach? Is this a head coach? Is this an offensive line coach? Is this a quarterback coach? Because I need to know who this person is, because they clearly need to be unemployed. If you clearly think that, I need a name. I need a government name.
Rival coach.
They don't want to go against Cameron in week 1.
Yeah. I need a government name on this coach. I need it now. Right.
all I know is that it was an AFC head coach. As far as I know, no like full name has been released, which, it's the same thing that we always say on here. If you're going to start like talking about this kind of thing, if you're going to start rumors and stir the pot.
Yeah, he's anonymous because he knows that was dumb.
Yeah, but they said rival AFC, so it's got to be somebody it's got to be either Adam Gase of the Jets, Sean McDermott. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be one of those 3. That's why I'm cutting it down to.
Or that's just his Twitter name. His Twitter name is AFC head coach, and we don't even know who this person really is.
That could be it too.
Twitter page.
It's from Sprott Sendler, the okay, well then, Jackie and Chris, I want to ask you guys the same question just before we move on. And Jackie, you can give me your answer first. Is there any reason why Cam shouldn't start?
There's absolutely no reason. There's the whole. Yeah, right. Britt said it all. There's no. I mean, the man is healthy. Have you seen his workout? If you don't think he's healthy, please follow him on Instagram. There's no. Again, I need a government name. I need a resume. I need your background history. I need to know how you came to this conclusion, and I need whatever team that is to be like, oh damn, we about to go 8-8 at best. If he's your head coach, there's a problem here.
Not if it's the Jets.
Oh, right.
But anyways.
Right. 5-11.
Poor guys.
Yeah.
All right. This story got a very strong reaction out of you guys, and I agree with you all 100%. I'd obviously like to see Cam start. I like him. He's been vegan before, which is another reason why I like him.
Wait. What do you mean? But he left it? He abandoned the vegan ship?
You know what? There has not been any proof that he's abandoned the vegan ship, but I just haven't.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
Oh, okay. I don't think he did either.
I
hadn't heard that he did.
Titans are vegan too, so maybe that should be your new favorite team.
There you go.
What did you say?
Most of the Tennessee Titans team is vegan, so maybe that should be your new team.
Listen,
Just get to the Chargers.
They got a fan base.
Listen,
You at least have some friends.
You probably might have more Titans fans in California than you do Chargers fans.
That is sad. That is sad.
You are right. But I have to stay loyal to my San Diego team, to my LA team, and I have to make up at least 25% of the fan base. So I'm not leaving. I'm working hard. Okay, you guys. Well, that wraps up Need to Know News. So Chris, take it away.
Yes, it's time for Post Up with your boy Chris, quarantine edition. And I normally have things to say when it comes to these topics, but I have nothing to say for this first one other than we talked about our opinion when it came to Zeke and his little slip after his live stream. But Shannon Sharpe and Skip were talking about it on Undisputed, and Shannon's response had me dying, and I wanted to play that here for you guys if you guys have not seen this on social media yesterday. So here's that video.
When he said he was, quote, low-key faded.
The dude's laugh is hilarious too.
He realized he had stopped his video game live stream like he had intended. So, Shannon, how concerned should the Cowboys be about this?
Truth be told, I'm low-key faded myself. Right here.
I love loud laughs. That was fantastic.
Right. It's the combination of Shannon's response and then the dude's laugh. Like it's the perfect clip. I was
Yeah.
in tears with
It never-
that yesterday. It was the funniest thing.
There
Oh
was-
my god! Like I didn't watch it live. Say what?
Yeah. When Molly was like literally like reading and he said he was low key faded,
Right.
and like she just sounded so proper, and it was like literally hilarious. Not
Just
Molly,
all of
sorry,
it.
I'm
That is the
but like,
perfect.
whoever the
Yeah, whatever.
reporter was when she was saying it. Oh, that was classic.
Oh my god!
That's
Yeah, I got
hilarious.
nothing else for that. I just wanted to share that because I was in tears yesterday with that. Because the laugh and it's just every time I watched it again, I found something new. Like Frank just said, like how like proper she was about talking about. I said he was faded, and then you Shannon coming in. You trying me to
Devin would read it,
I
though.
thought it was so funny.
That is exactly how Devin would read it.
I think Devin did a good job with it yesterday.
Remember when she started the cap? He said no cap. And then, like, come on, Devin. You know you'd be super proper.
Oh my gosh! So shout out to Shannon with that one.
Now
Shout out
when I
to
say no, I don't sound so weird. Like I'm getting better.
Right.
there it is.
Yeah,
That's right. Give her the credit. Yes, go ahead. That's right. Stand up for yourself, Devin. But yo, shout out to Shannon in this video, but bigger shout out to the dude that recorded it because that laugh amplified that video so much. Oh my god. Anyways, moving on to the next one. Yo, that was hilarious. Moving on to something else that's hilarious to me is the fact that we celebrated that Zion Williamson is the new NBA 2K21 cover athlete for the next generation consoles. Now, this was shortly celebrated because, you know, when we talked about the little teaser trailer not too long ago on Post Up, when you saw him, you know, sweating and dunking and looking at the cameras and whatnot, it was obvious at that point, all right, Zion's going to be the cover athlete. We talked about Dame yesterday. He's going to be the cover athlete for the current generation, PlayStation, Xbox One, all the, you know, systems out right now. But Zion he has been chosen as the cover athlete for the next generation, the new consoles that are coming out at the end of this year, and they're ushering in this new era with Zion Williamson as the cover athlete. And well, a lot of people are very, very upset about this. I didn't even want to bother to pull a lot of these tweets, but literally all the responses are either they're mad because they think that, you know, shouldn't it have been either Luka, Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, or even John Morant, because John Morant is most likely going to be Rookie of the Year this year. There's other people saying Zion didn't even play that much of this season. How's he going to be on the cover of an NBA basketball game? There's all these different arguments, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not disagreeing with the points. Now, I would, yes, I think, you know, Donovan Mitchell is probably the name that I saw. I'm like, yes, you know, give me Donovan Mitchell and give me Damian Lillard as the two cover athletes. I'm cool with that. But here's my thing, though. You got to understand how marketing works. Like I said, this is for the cover athlete of the next generation of consoles. This is this is the first 2K game of the new set of systems coming out. So 2K is not, they don't care about who did what and who did this and who did that. They're going with the guy that's going to sell them copies, and that is most likely going to be Zion Williamson. And it might not even because of fan bases, because, well, ESPN and Bleacher Report can't stop talking about him, so it's going to be all over your feeds anyways, regardless if you don't watch the player at all. That's just the way of the game when it comes to this, and I feel like that is, you know, to me, I think that's what it is, because I feel like, in my opinion, it should be reversed. If you ask me, it should be reversed. Zion should be the cover of the right now consoles, and then put Dame on the big title, on the big cover for the newer consoles, because Damian Lillard has done a bit more. But in that same breath, I understand why, because it's just marketing, and that's just how the game works. It's a game within a game. That's what I'm telling people. And also, well, I'm gonna leave my last point to the end, but I want to bring it over to let me go to Jackie first. But I'm also gonna ask you too, Britt, so stand by. But Jackie, coming to you first, as somebody who believes that Zion Williamson has a chance to snag that Rookie of the Year from John Morant. Are you understanding of the anger? I'm sure if you look at the chat, I haven't even looked at the chat, but people are already going at me when I mentioned it earlier. Are you understanding of the anger behind the fans and everybody being so pissed off that Zion Williamson is the cover of NBA 2K21 over almost anybody else? Or do you think that 2K made the right decision because, like I said, because of marketing?
I understand the anger. I understand liking who you like, and I understand the Dame Dollar, argument. However, I also think that, like you said, the people who are mad really haven't taken marketing 101. Like the first 2 days of that class, you would have known
100%.
Zion automatically gets the cover. We even on the Fumble talk about him more than anybody else you just mentioned. He's on Bleacher Report more than anyone we just mentioned, and we have been talking about him since college. So it is what it is. He's the new young face. That's what I said in the chat. It is what it is. He's supposed to be on the cover, and y'all supposed to be mad.
Yeah.
Y'all supposed to be mad about it, but marketing wise, they did the exact right thing. So it just kind of is what it is.
Yeah. So Brett, I think that was you. I heard Sai earlier, and I want to know your feelings on this. Do you feel like are you with the masses on the outrage of Zion Williamson getting this bigger cover, especially over your boy Dame, who's on the cover regardless? But I mean, this Zion's cover is a little bit bigger just because it's going to be for the better consoles. Are you have any feelings on this one? I think that was you that heard Sai. I just want to know your opinion on this one. Go ahead.
It wasn't me that side, or maybe it was. I don't know.
Okay. I heard. I don't know.
That just comes out sometimes. I don't know. But I am upset. But I watched Dame's whole interview yesterday when he was talking about being on the cover and how he was excited about it. One of the big things that he said from that was he doesn't feel like it makes him now one of the best point guard in the league or whatever the case. He's literally most of the time the people that are on the cover are there because they're popular. So he's it's not right. If you're great in the league, it's a popularity contest. So he wanted to acknowledge that part of it too. He was just this doesn't solidify anything for me on the court. It doesn't mean I'm better now or I'm whatever now on the court. He's people who play basketball, they know who's good on the court and they know who they can respect on the court. The cover is the cover. And sometimes it's a player that is real deserving of it. And sometimes it's a popular player. And
it's not.
I think he said it perfectly. That's why Zion is on the cover. He played 19 games and you have this man on the cover. Mm-hmm. He didn't and you said he did a little bit more than Dame or Dame did a little bit more than him. No, he did a lot of bit more than him.
It was sarcasm. I said it in my sarcastic voice. It was sarcasm. I'm saying he only did a little bit more. I know he did a lot more. You're right. I got you. I got you. You're right.
So that's how I feel. But whatever.
Yeah, and I think whatever. Like I said, and I'm not. I don't even play 2K anyways. But here's the thing too, and I'm about to just squash all this right now. I'm not even gonna look at the chat. Can I get the camera on me real quick? Look, guys, all you guys are complaining. If you're in this channel, you part of those people that are on Twitter crying and whining about this. Here's my thing to you, okay? You can be as upset as you want to be about this. It doesn't matter because there's one more reveal left. And I'm pretty sure we're all very confident on knowing who this last one is. 2K has a history of having the regular cover athlete and the legend athlete. I think it's pretty obvious who's going to be on the cover of the legendary cover tomorrow. It's going to be Kobe Bryant. And the minute that is announced, no one's even buying the Zion Williamson cover anyways. So y'all can cry all you want, whine all you want. You going to sit there and whine while you buy your Kobe Bryant cover anyway. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's people are just trying to find anything to be mad about, which is why I'm ready for NBA to come back, because this is of anything to be worried about with 2K. This cover athlete thing, it makes sense and it's not a big deal. Get over it. Get your Kobe edition and move on. On to the next one. I'm going into this is the one I was talking about. And yes, I'm not going to be soft about this one, but it has nothing to do about Brady. Okay, this is Brady's ex I'm talking about. Julian Edelman. So we know now that Cam Newton is the new quarterback of the New England Patriots, and that means that Julian Edelman has to move on from his old boyfriend, Tom Brady, and now he has a new man in Cam Newton who's going to be his new quarterback. And Julian Edelman took to Instagram to let everyone know that he's excited about his new guy, Cam Newton. He put up on the caption, Newton, Massachusetts, #Let's Work, and he's so excited about it. But here comes crazy ex-boyfriend Tom Brady in the caption. I don't know if you guys can see it real closely, but there he is, having to comment on his ex-boyfriend's post by saying, I will always be your number one, with the winking eye emoji. Creepy.
Cam Newton. You know how Cam Newton writes on
his Julian Edelman did, yes. Yeah, he did. I thought that was dope. He moved on.
Oh my gosh. Ooh.
Yeah, he moved on, Tom Brady, it has growth. Look at that. Get out of here,
Ew.
creepy ex-boyfriend. Move on. Why are you still even commenting on his post when he's looking at him? He's moving on. You left him. All right, let him live. Nah, so yeah, no softness here. I see. I'm telling you, Tom Brady. I know he's being unleashed, but this one's a little creepy. I'm not a fan of it. But go ahead, Tom Brady. I mean, you got. I'm gonna leave that alone. On to the next one. From two good quarterbacks to. Well, one not so good quarterback. This guy is he is a victim
Why are we talking about
of
Johnny?
what Jackie calls the purgatory that is Cleveland. He is a victim, and he fell very hard when it came to his time with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Excuse me, sorry, Cavs. Even though you're just as bad, the Cleveland Browns. Johnny Manziel is out here. He's got time, ladies and gentlemen. He's got all the time in the world for whatever y'all got from. Johnny Manziel gets hate from every which angle. He gets drafted in the league. People are pissed off about it. He does bad in the NFL. People are ready for him to get out of the league. He tries to make a comeback. People are going in at him. I'm not saying Johnny Manziel is innocent in any of these situations, but he just always garners a lot of, controversy and a lot of hate. Now Johnny Manziel finally accepting retirement and just putting his feet back and letting it all be, and he's sitting chilling in South Beach, Miami, with a post of him laying back saying retired. And people still find a reason to get mad. And Johnny Manziel, as he's posted up in his lawn chair, is ready for battle. This man, Steven, comes at him saying, "You never worked a day in your life." And Johnny Manziel said, "Oh, yeah? Enjoy your 9 to 5. That's something I'll never know." Boom, face. Fire all over the place. Blow up, explosion. Got him. Okay. Johnny Manziel is out here going after people, and this isn't it. We have another one coming at him, and he's upset. LMAO, clown shit, because he's just out there enjoying his life. Johnny Manziel coming at him and where he is living, saying, "How's Des Moines? Broke, bitch." Boom! Explosion. Air horn. Johnny Manziel going after. It's open season. Say what you want. Johnny Manziel is kicking it with this money, and he's excited. Now, all jokes aside, though, like I've said this about Kevin Durant. I've said this about everybody when it comes to responding. I get it, like, you know what? But this just makes there's a reason why you get this hate, and these responses are part of the reason why you get it. I'm all for, you get unnecessary comments, you respond to them, do what you got to do, give them the smoke. I get it, but at the same time, when you are Johnny Manziel and you've gotten as much, backlash as you have gotten throughout your entire, I want to say career, but wasn't much of a career, but your entire time in the spotlight. There you go. It's just, I don't know. To me, it doesn't look like the greatest look. I don't agree with Josh and Steven either, because they're obviously just hating because Johnny's out there living his best life, so they're salty about that. So they got what they deserve, but at the same time, Johnny, just let him hate, bro. Like, you look at you retiring, feet up, you good. But Devin, I'm gonna go to you first. You seeing Johnny? Like I said, it was just a simple picture of Johnny Manziel, feet up, hanging out in South Beach, saying retired, and then now he's getting all this hate from everybody. So do you think that Johnny Manziel had every right to just go open season on all the hate, or should he just be chilling and just let him hate while he's enjoying his actual retirement, enjoying his money, and just enjoying his time by himself?
So you're asking me if Johnny should have called everybody out who was hating on him, or if he deserved the hate?
Yeah.
Okay, so
like, should he have called him out?
Oh, you keep cutting out, Chris. I'm missing half of what you're saying,
Sorry.
but I'm going to answer what I think you're asking me. I love it when people call out the haters. I know that that's not like the what you're supposed to do when you're like trying to be the bigger person, but sometimes you can't help it. I know I tend to like really go at the trolls that come for me, so I like seeing somebody else do the same thing, give someone a taste of their own medicine, but then it also ends up just validating them. But sometimes it's good. Sometimes you need to be able to call someone out, and I don't think he deserved all the dragging.
Yeah, I agree, but my thing is just when you taking as many L's as you taking as Johnny Manziel, just you actually have this. To me, I think this is a win. Keep it and let them hate. But I mean, you're probably right. You're probably right in that stance. Can I come to you real quick, Jackie? How are you feeling about this? Because I know you love yourself some good clapbacks. You like to dish them out yourself from time to time as well, from a lot of time to a lot of time. But what are you thinking? You thinking Johnny Manziel has, he had every right to go open season, or are you thinking in this instance just let it go and just enjoy your time in South Beach? How you feeling about this one?
I think he should just stay quiet. And I'm kind of being hypocritical because I always got time. If y'all bring it, I'm ready for it. So but I said this about Johnny before he ever got drafted. I said he was gonna suck because he had all that money. Johnny come from old money. Like, he don't have nothing to work for. So he was just too nonchalant the whole time. So just be nonchalant. Just go away with all your old money, do old money stuff, and shut up. And that's, I mean, it was just silly. Because also you're taking a dig at the little guy too. You're like, oh, go work your 9 to 5. You little bastard, just because you didn't have to work one? Nah, Johnny, nah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. Moving off of Johnny Manziel and talking about this is funny. Andrew McCutcheon, who recently signed with Philadelphia, recently signed with the Phillies, and obviously, with the quarantine and everybody being locked down, everybody was, staying put, in their home states and staying home with, their families and stuff. But now that, baseball is about to, come back and whatnot, he finally made his way to his rented house in Philadelphia, but it was empty, and he decided to make a little callback to the last episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, because Philadelphia, even though he was in Bel-Air at the time, but still, a little shout out because it's pretty funny. The pictures are identical, so he put it side by side of this picture of Will Smith from the last episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and then this was him in his new house where it's completely empty, and I thought that was pretty funny. It was pretty dead on. The carpet's the same, they got the staircase. I respect it, so that was a good shout out right there from Andrew McCutcheon. Moving on to somebody I've been a fan of for a while, even though he's had some knuckleheaded moments, but Kenny Stills. Kenny Stills got some new ink. We like to talk about new tattoos on this channel. We talked about some underwhelming ones like what's old boy Kuzma East, Tyler Hero. He had his little tattoos. We talked about Leandro Ball with his big old back tattoo, but this one is coming from Kenny Stills, who got his whole leg tattooed, inspired by Black Lives Matter. I think it's dope. I think this is sick. It goes all the way down. There's 2 angles of it. You can see the top of it there, and then you can see the entire thing right there. I think that's sick. I think that's dope. We know Kenny Stills has been very vocal, especially, right after Cam Newton started to kneel. Kenny Stills was one of the players that has been right there, beside him, whether he was kneeling, whether he was, showing the fist. And Kenny Stills, I think this is a cool tattoo. So dope sleeve. I think artists killed it with this, and I'm for this one. I think it's dope.
So
nothing to say about that. Hit me.
Can I have something to say?
Please, by all means.
Oh no! Looks like an arm. Like I feel like his leg is looking very James Harden-ish. Like it just. I know Kenny's a thinner, but like I didn't see that one. I thought that was an arm with the elbow right there.
It does.
That would be the most deformed. Why would the elbow be on? That would be the most deformed arm.
But see, if you're not looking at the other leg, she's not wrong. Like, it does look like from a different angle, it looks like somebody's arm. Like, if you take the other leg aside, because he do got some chicken legs.
Yeah.
Y'all leave Kenny alone.
That's the knobby knee. That looks like an elbow. That don't look like no knee. That ain't a solid knee. So I think he needs to look at that little knobby knee.
Oh my, we knee shaming now? That's what we doing? We knee shaming?
The whole time you heard it here. Arm, and then when it showed the next picture of the leg, I was like, wait, he got the same thing on his arm
and his leg? What's up, Devin? You're muted, Devin.
James Harden-ish. He needs to get in that gym, because if NFL season's about to start,
be ready.
Devin, I think you're muted.
Down, my guy.
Oh, we're gonna have to NBA you and read this because we can't hear you. Talk really wide. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was muted. I'm sorry.
There you are.
I was saying I see the arm too. I think it looks like an arm as well. So I'm with you.
I didn't see the arm. I did not see the arm.
I only saw when you mentioned it. Yeah.
Shoulder down, like that's an arm.
Yeah.
Looks like an arm.
Yeah.
Lord. I instantly saw the booty. I didn't see a shoulder. The
booty looks like just like this part of your arm, like it just looks like
this
part of your shoulder.
Oh my God.
When I was writing this one out, this is not the conversation I was expecting. I did not think we were going to have an arm gate. But the thing is, I don't disagree because, like, at first, because I knew it was the leg because I saw the other angle first. But now, when you see that particular angle, it looks like it's his arm. That's hilarious. Kenny,
Nobby needs no booty.
Nobby needs no booty. Get in the gym with your legs, man. Work out those legs, my God.
Oh God!
Moving on to my last. Moving on, but yeah, dope tattoo regardless. Moving on to my last one. I like this. I mean, it's pretty obvious though. I mean, it's nothing like unlike his previous tweet that we talked about in I don't know, it was almost a month ago. Jordan Clarkson dropping another tweet, making pretty much making all of these like videographers and movie makers and everything excited about what's to come. I mean, we all know that this year has just been so different, and I expect there to be just a 2020 30 for 30 in sports regardless. But Jordan Clarkson is specifically pointing at what's to come here with this restart of the NBA season, and he tweeted out, "Keep the cameras rolling in Orlando. Keep the cameras rolling in Orlando, though. It's about to be a cold ass 30 for 30 in a few years." And I think he's right. I think this whole sports year, I mean, obviously the whole 2020 is probably gonna get documented regardless, but the whole sports year on all cylinders is probably going to be a dope 30 for 30 regardless. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure somebody will pick it up. I mean, Clutch out here doing their work, LeBron James doing his work. I'm sure he'll probably pick it up and make a dope documentary out of the NBA season. So yeah, that's something that got people thinking. People were looking at it like, yo, I didn't even think about it that way. That was the first thing I thought about. I was just like, oh yeah, see, once all this goes through, if the NBA comes back, my brain already, because we just had the Michael Jordan doc, so I'm here thinking about next documentaries and next docuseries we can get. This is the first thing I was thinking, like, oh, 1 year we're gonna get a 2020 doc. It's pretty cool. But anyways, yeah, Jordan Clarkson, putting that in a lot of people's heads because I guess they weren't thinking about it. So good for you, Jordan Clarkson. And on that note, that's it from me here on the post up.
All right, thank you so much, Chris. Now, Jackie, take us into what we not gonna do.
Can we? Okay, look, after the show, we're going to have to settle into a melody because I don't be knowing when you stop in. It's different every day. We need to have a conversation off air about this. But, all right, you guys, all right, so let me break down some numbers for you guys really quick before we get into what we not going to do. So in March of 2019, the Chiefs signed the Honey Badger to a 3-year deal worth $42 million. That included $14.8 million in signing bonuses and $28 million guaranteed over 3 years. Then they signed Frank Clark to a 5-year deal worth $105.5 million with $63.5 million in guaranteed money in April of that year. And they did all this knowing their defensive tackle Chris Jones was going to be on a contract year in 2020, and Patrick Mahomes will be an unrestricted free agent at the conclusion of the 2021 season. So now, Chris Jones, he's asking for at least $20 million per year. It's not without merit. Alton Sports has him ranked the 5th best defensive lineman in the league. They have him ahead of Eagles' Fletcher Cox. Let's not forget Fletcher Cox signed that big deal for $102.6 million with $63 million in guaranteed. So the Chiefs have decided to just franchise tag him. So he's getting $16 million. But then in response to that, when speaking to Mike Garofalo and the possibility of him taking less than $20 million, he tweeted, he says, "Or I won't play. Le'Veon Bell told me about this." So a lot of mixed emotions from people on this one. We've even talked about this on this show that Le'Veon Bell ended up missing out on $8.6 million by sitting out. And then he ended up with the Jets, which, that's a tragedy within itself to end up with the Jets. But but when you play a position that is injury prone, obviously you want the guarantee. Le'Veon ended up getting the guarantee. So regardless of what you guys' opinion is on this, here's what we're not going to do. We are not going to pretend that these athletes are going out there week after week, enduring torment, annihilation on their body, and they're just doing it because their love for the game and the love for their fans. So let's call some people out here, because this Twitter user said, "Damn, always thought you were more than just a dollar." No, he's not. He's not more than just a dollar, and neither are you. Every time you go to work, it is about the dollar. It's not about your love for the job. Even though you might love your job, you going to get paid. Let's be clear on that. This Twitter user said, be better than that, CJ. God provides, right? Why hold out for more than you need to stay with this team? Think big picture, bro. Okay, look, God most certainly will provide, but he needs to provide a way for CJ to get what he wants, because that's what he needs in this injury-prone position. So I always fall on the side of the players, you guys. I think you guys know this, especially when it comes to getting their money, because the league is not kind. They don't care. They will trade you off. They will do whatever they need to do to get themselves in the best position. So I think the athletes need to do the same. So $16 million franchise tag is not horrible. It's sitting out, I think, is becoming the question. He's open to doing that, but if he doesn't sit out, he takes the $16 million and he gets injured, then I think he kind of loses his bargaining chip. So money talks, BS walks to me. I'm just going to go to you real quick, Chris. Do you think he should sit or take the $16 million and try to figure it out next season?
Oh boy, here we go with this conversation again. Because I do agree with the stance. I agree that, he got to get paid, because, that Kansas City defense was not great, but he was one of, until, they did what they did. But he's one of the bigger figures on that defensive end. So he deserves the money. But at the same time, though, it's so hard for me, because I don't know if he's in one of those, those money positions where he can play that game of sitting out until he gets paid, because I don't know that they can, let him go, and then you never know, some dude comes in and slides in and takes his spot. It's one thing if it's like a Le'Veon, but I don't know. So it's hard for me to say, especially in the NFL. I want him to get paid. I think he deserves to get paid, but I feel like it's a crazy road to go down if you decide to sit out until you get paid. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah. So you think he should play and get the $16 million? And they have to pay Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is going to get a ridiculous contract. They have to be thinking about that.
He's going to get paid. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's got to take that $16 million, man. And it's hard. It's a hard road to go down, but it's just, he's not playing the quarterback, so he's not going to be priority, unfortunately, even though if he was probably one of the key reasons why they did win the Super Bowl on the defensive end. But that's just how the sport is, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see.
16 mil, bro. Take your 16 mil.
16 million is a lot, so
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how this one plays out, but let's move on to this one, because I have been saying since day one that being on lockdown, the stress of the coronavirus, all the things that's going on in our world right now, it is driving a lot of us crazy. And now I have the proof. So before I get to the proof, let's do Flashback Wednesday. Let's go back to 2017 when the Falcons met the Patriots in the Super Bowl and were up 21-3 at the half, and then 28-9 in the third quarter, and then didn't score ever again, and then ended up losing 34-28 to Tom Brady and the Patriots. Do you guys remember that? Okay, I'm sure everyone is all caught up now. Clearly. Now let's move back. And let's all remember that now Tom Brady, unfortunately, is in my division. So let's recap my division, shall we? We have Teddy Bridgewater and the Carolina Panthers. We have still in the doghouse Drew Brees and my Saints. And we have Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons and Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. So guess what, though? Matt Ryan, when they asked him, who do you think is the best quarterback in the division? He said, I am. That's all I got to say. What we not going to do is pretend like we ain't all losing our damn minds during this damn quarantine. Matt Ryan is the first casualty in the NFC South. Chris, I got to go back to you. What do you think?
I don't.
The best in the division.
I don't.
I'll give him Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm barely putting him over Teddy Bridgewater. Barely. And look, and that's not, maybe it is a little hate. It's hard. Yeah. No, I'm not playing. I'm not entertaining this. I'm not playing this one. Nope. You got Tom Brady and like you said, doghouse Drew Brees are in the same division. You want to come out here and talk? No, stop. Miss me with that. He can have third place. Yep. I'll let him take third place.
So all I'm trying to say, you guys,
we got Jameis Winston. He's in the division too. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'll stop. I'll stop.
We are not having it over here, Saints Nation. We are not having it. Who dat? No, we're not buying it. Matt Ryan, please see somebody. There are doctors that get paid a lot of money to help people like you. This is just a sign that we all need to take care of ourselves mentally. That's all this means, you guys. So be well. All right. And now it is time for Brit's Takes.
Brit's Takes.
All right, guys. So today, hopefully I don't get blurred out because I'm mixing a bunch of stuff that normally gets me blurred out just for saying one thing, but I'm mixing them all together. So I have actually been a big fan of the bubble. I believe it's the safest place for players to be. Obviously, we just found out this last week, out of the 302 players that tested for coronavirus in the NBA, 16 came back positive. So really, that's back in their regular life. So I believe that interacting with people and going to the grocery store and hanging out with your side chicks and different chicks at different times or whatever is going to be more negative to your health than being in this bubble, because like I said earlier, the bubble is supposed to be really safe. It's supposed to be a lot safer. It's supposed to be like Fort Knox. It's all this crazy stuff, right? So I think that part of it is better. You're in a bubble. You're around people that are getting tested every single day. And I just think that's safer than being out on the streets and letting these players like wow out until season starts in December. But critics obviously argue the fact that you can sneak girls in and whatever the case, but I just don't believe that a player is going to risk the entire league and NBA just to mess with a girl. But again, I'm a girl. I don't know. Chris kind of said guys don't care and they can't handle themselves. So maybe that is a thing. I don't know. But the WNBA has actually done a similar thing. They're going to be right down the street from the NBA. And then obviously we don't talk about the NHL very much on here, but they're going to be doing a bubble as well. So as far as those leagues are concerned, I feel comfortable and I feel okay with them resuming their season. And again, we know WNBA will be an entire season, but for the NBA and for NHL, they're just kind of going into playoffs. But obviously we know the WNBA season is very short anyway. So they're all doing the bubble thing, and I think that works. But yesterday, it was announced that Minor League Baseball was canceling their entire season because of coronavirus, and that is the first time they've canceled their season in the history. Sorry, I'm getting an echo. Can you guys mute yourselves if you can? Or maybe it's just me getting an echo. But anyways, Minor League Baseball canceled their season yesterday, first time they've ever done that. Obviously, we know we had the baseball draft a couple weeks ago. They changed their draft from a bajillion rounds to only having 5 rounds, so it was like a big deal for that. But baseball is continuing, and I think baseball is one of the safer sports to play in because you don't really need any physical contact with anybody. As I reported last week, LSU had 30 athletes quarantined, Kansas State had 14, and Clemson had 20. Well, it was just announced a couple hours ago that Clemson now has 37 athletes that have tested positive for coronavirus. Kansas State, which had the 14, they actually were the only campus that completely stopped doing any kind of workouts or whatever for 2 weeks after those 14 players tested, and they retested again, all of their 90 players, and all of them came back negative this morning for Kansas State. So really we're seeing the fact that the only way that we can get a whole 100% negative testing with the players is to not have them make any contact at all, because the other teams had certain players just quarantined, but then yet Clemson ended up having 37 players now compared to the 20 that they originally had quarantined in the beginning. So there is clearly a fear here in college of coaches don't want to cluster the players together, and they don't want clusters of players getting the coronavirus. But in football, you can't really do that. Right now, even coaches have recently been talking about training cross positions. So they're training wideouts to be corners and safeties and vice versa, because they think if they have all their wideouts practicing together, then they're all going to get coronavirus together. And so they're separating by positions. So then now they could, then if the corners and safeties don't have them, some of those can move to wide receivers, because they know it's going to be, if one person in a position gets it, it's pretty likely that that whole position is going to get it. Obviously, you can't cross-train everything. You can do that with receivers and corners and whatever the case, but how many guys on the team are going to be able to play quarterback if all of your 4 quarterbacks get the coronavirus? Power 5 has been looking to do modified schedules. NFL has been looking to shorten preseason, but this really isn't enough. So Dr. Spencer Fox, who is a researcher for the University of Texas, said this morning. He said, to reach some level of herd immunity on a football team, we expect that you would need roughly 80% of the people to get infected. Of those, if you do the math, for all college athletes or all football players, you could figure out roughly how many would expect to be hospitalized, how many you would expect to die. You could really be morbid when you do the calculus on all of this. So one doctor did actually do the math, and there are 13,000 FBS players. He expects 30 to 50% of them to get COVID-19 this season. And if you do the math properly, he said there's about 3 to 7 football players this season that will die from COVID. So the question here is, what are we supposed to do? Like, what do the players want to do? I know we've been talking a lot about Colin Kaepernick and like, well, what does he want? Or I talked about Morehouse canceling their season and they didn't even talk to the players. Well, ESPN did an anonymous survey. They surveyed 74 players, obviously, compared to the 13,000 that are in the league or in college football. That is a very small amount. But they did a survey, 74 players, 64 of those players said that they felt comfortable practicing and they're ready to go. So the coronavirus doesn't scare them at all. They don't care. They don't care if they get it, whatever the case is. I personally don't know what to do, because if the players are saying that they want to play, then who are we to say that they can't play? The NFL hasn't done a study like that, but from the NFL players that I've personally talked to, all of them said that they're ready to play and stuff. So I personally am at a moment where, when do the medical professionals step in and just cancel everything? Because if it's up to the football players, if it's up to the coaches, obviously if it's up to the league and the schools and stuff, they're going to play because it's money for everybody. And I don't think people are actually thinking about their lives, or what, like Jackie has spoken of several times, the possibility of, you know, what does this mean for the future? Like, if you do get it, we don't know the long-term effects that it could have. And especially with football that has a lot of big players that are not the healthiest, that aren't whatever, like, it's kind of really scary. So I know I've been a proponent of continuing sports, but with hearing these numbers and stuff, I think 3 to 7 is a small percentage of 13,000, but it's still too many. I don't want to see any football players dying on the field because of the coronavirus this season. Like, that's not worth it to me. And I don't think, if they really thought about it, it's not worth it to them. I feel like some of them are too crazy in the head or too young to even know what's best for them. But I just feel like we're in a position now when are the medical professionals going to step in and demand that the season be canceled? When are the governors and whatever the case is going to step in? The people that don't have, like, you know, they don't care more about money than care about people's lives, going to step in and say football is just one of those sports that it's an all or nothing thing, and you either are going to play it, and like that doctor said, 50% of the players potentially are going to get it, with 3 to 7 dying. Who knows how many that's going to be in the NFL as well, but I just think that that's not a number that's worth it to anybody. But I'm not going to ask any questions because we're short on time on this, but I will get into what I'm going to be going over really quick, which is the Equal Justice Initiative. I know you guys have heard about it if you guys have been watching the Fumble at all. It's a nonprofit organization that provides legal representation to prisoners who may have been wrongfully convicted due to not having effective representation or a fair trial. Now, I would like to take this moment to kind of share an example of that to you guys, to show kind of why it's important that you guys donate to the Equal Justice Initiative. I'll tell you a story about a guy named Malcolm Alexander. He was arrested and convicted of rape. He's one of many in this country that this happens to, where he was wrongfully convicted of the crime. He was wrongfully convicted due to the fact that he had incorrect eyewitness identification, which actually makes up 71% of all wrongful convictions. He had an incompetent defense attorney that didn't even provide an opening or closing statement for his client, and they lost DNA evidence of pubic hair and semen that was never used in the trial. Most of that was actually destroyed by the New Orleans Police Department. So when he tried to do appeals later on, it was very hard for Malcolm to come by an appeal. He was arrested for rape in 1980 after a woman who was raped 4 months earlier identified him as the rapist. Even though she did not see him, she was attacked from behind. At the time, he was only 21 years old and was a father with a 2-year-old child. His trial actually lasted only 1 day. They tried and convicted him in 1 day. He was convicted and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. He later found a lawyer that tracked down a small sample from the original piece of pubic hair from the lost evidence from the original trial that was never tested in the first place. And they tested that with his, and there was not a match. So after spending 38 years in prison, he was released January 30th, 2018. So your donation would help not only go to Malcolm's defense in this case, but it would help with DNA testing and other things needed to make sure guys like this or women like this get exonerated for crimes that they did not commit and have fair trials. So if you guys want to be a part of the moment, there is a donation link below. You can donate, or you can send money through our super chats as well. Anything really helps. If it's $1, $5, all of that helps. And we really appreciate you guys. If you guys want to know any more information about the Equal Justice Initiative, you can make sure you visit their website at eji.org. Please donate, or else cases like this with Malcolm, he could have never gotten out if he didn't have that help. He didn't have any money when he was in prison in order to get this representation and finally get exonerated for a crime that he didn't commit. So it's very important to donate, and I appreciate all the donations from you guys. And that's it for Brit's Takes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Britt. You guys, make sure you donate. I see we have an anonymous donation of $5. Thank you so much for that. It's going straight to the Equal Justice Initiative, and we're obviously so happy to be partnering with them and shedding light on some of the work that they do. We're going to be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so make sure you subscribe and tap the bell so you know the second that we're going live. Leave a comment below and share this video with your friends, and we'll see you tomorrow, you guys. Wash your hands. Stay safe. Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Did it way too late.